Well, now hear this. Now hear this. I'm Dr. Emil Dansker, and I'm going to be talking to you about the Veterans Interview Project, the Library of Congress, which is done here at the main library in Cincinnati. So I'm talking with Chief Everett Norton.
Yes, sir.
Was a Master Chief?
No, sir.
Eh?
No, I was just a regular Chief Petty Officer.
Well, there's no regular Chief Petty Officer. Those guys are the greatest. They run, as you well, you can tell me how they run the Navy.
Well, I don't have to tell you. It's proven fact. But they had to come out with 2 more ranks just to cover them all.
Yeah, so what'd you do? What was your MOS?
Chief Electrician, on board ship, had to take care of everything. So,
which is quite a job to know all those lines.
When you have the power gang, you got the ventilation gang, you got the lighting gang, you got the flight deck lighting gang, you got broke down into different sections.
And you were over on all of them.
They have to take care of the whole ship.
And by gang, you mean the group of guys who did
Yeah,
this?
it's, say, 125 guys, and they're broke down into 20 in this place, 15 here, 12, 50 there.
How'd you learn how to do that?
How do you learn how to do it? It's just experience, know.
Yeah.
They, people in Department of Defense say you got so many people to operate that ship, so that's where you're at.
Where'd you do your boot camp?
I went to boot camp in the last female boot camp there was.
Is that
Bainbridge, Maryland.
Pine Ridge?
Huh?
Where in Maryland?
Bainbridge.
Bainbridge, yeah. Yeah.
We were the last male boot camp group to go through that female. It was mainly for females, but this is in 1953. See.
But you were as part of that group?
I was part of the group that went through boot camp at Bainbridge, Maryland.
Which is near, well, Maryland's not that big.
Baltimore.
Near Baltimore.
Yeah, Lancaster.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's near Washington, D.C. I don't know.
Yeah, all of that kind of is, yeah.
I know it was sure cold there in the middle of winter.
Even cold north of the Mason-Dixon line, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I was the only rebel in the boot camp company.
Oh, good. That's right, the rebel. So where were you from? Where'd you grow up? Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Lexington, Kentucky. And grew up in Ludlow, Kentucky, which is about 5 miles from here. Right across, right on the river. So.
Yeah, I know that area. Yeah. And you went to your father worked for the railroad, I think you said.
My father worked for the railroad. He got transferred up to Cincinnati, Ohio. So he bought a house in Ludlow, and they would catch a train and ride it across the river, across the bridge, and go to work, and then the train would bring them back, and right there to Ludlow. It's just a small railroad town.
Yeah, the Cincinnati Southern, that was a railroad that's owned by the city of Cincinnati.
Probably was.
Or the trackage is anyway.
Yeah.
It's there, was he down in that area down by the, well, let's see, down on the river near the Longworth building, I think it is, where Tom Wells, who was with the railroad.
He worked in the yard down there, switching the trains around and setting them up to where they take them out on the road. He'd take this boxcar and that another car over there and this car, and you add them all together and make up one train, and send it out. That's
Tom Wells used to talk about how there was so much smoke from the steamers that you could almost not see them down there. And of course, there's none of that down there now.
I can believe that.
But I wonder if there's still that ordinance when the trains could go along the river And when they got down about where the baseball stadium is, they had to go from one railroad to the other, and they weren't allowed to go to pull the cars across. They had to stop and hook them up to mules and take them across.
Is that right?
Did Father ever talk about any of that?
I never heard him talk about that.
I got to look to see if if that's still on the books. So let's see. So you went to boot camp in Bainbridge, and you've done from how many different ships did you say you were on?
I was on 11 different ships.
Mm-hmm. And which were those, big ones and little ones?
I was on 5 aircraft carriers,
Mm-hmm.
5 amphibious ships, which you ought to know about. They cart the Marines around and send them off to battle, you know.
Yes.
And then 1 supply ship,
Mm-hmm.
which got the food and the stuff to the...
Well, how did they move you around that much? Or why did they move you around that much? Because you were that good?
I have a theory on that, because I was single,
Mm-hmm.
and they could move me cheaper than they could move a married man and his wife and his kids and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So I'd come back from one cruise, which would be 6 or 8 months long,
Mm-hmm.
be in, say, Norfolk for a month, 2 months,
Uh-huh.
and I'd get orders on this other ship that was going back overseas, and I
I
just
see
come
you-
from over there.
You see, you know how to pronounce it. We said Norfolk.
Norfolk.
So many people say Norfolk, which
Yeah.
of course is not like, it's like Louisville, you know.
Right.
And I've had people tell me that you from there that, oh, no, you pronounce it Louisville. Another one says, no, it's Louisville. But I've never heard it called anything but Louisville, which I suppose you might have called it.
I've called it everything.
I imagine, yeah. So how did you manage all these guys as a master chief
Well,
or as a chief?
you have, oh, I don't know how to put this. You got so much work that's got to be done,
Mm-hmm.
and they call it preventative maintenance now.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, that motor had been shut down and cleaned, so we shut it down and clean it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's stuff you need,
Uh-huh.
and you have to know when to clean it, shut it down, take care of it, overhaul it.
Yeah.
It all comes with a program. I mean, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, and then you've got kind of a knack for being a manager, for running down the POD.
I run that, yeah.
The,
I could do that.
What do we call that?
day.
The plan of the day
Yeah.
that you had every day?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Did you get over to Korea, Vietnam?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get ashore at either of those?
I was at Busan in Korea, and I went all over the Far East, we called it.
Mm-hmm.
It's Hong Kong, Shanghai, Singapore,
Gosh. you've got-
Philippines.
Uh-huh. Cavite?
Huh?
They still have Cavite at that time? The Navy Yard at Cavite in Manila?
I don't know
Maybe that
about
was
that
closed
one.
by that
we went
time.
To, the name of that town.
They,
Been so dadgum long.
it's been a bit of a while, I guess, yeah. So you trained as an electrician then, and you
The
just picked up...
Navy sent me to school and taught me a lesson, something that I didn't think I could do.
Uh-huh.
I didn't think that I could be an electrician. But when they take it and break it down and send it to, and you learn it, then it's there for life. And I mean, they gave me a job for life. When I retired out of the Navy, I was cross-trained to, I can work on electrical, mechanical, hydraulics, pneumatics,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so I'd right into a factory and had
Yeah.
no problem
How
at
long?
all.
You were on active duty for, what, 20 years?
I was on active duty for 20 years, and I worked in the shipyard for 5 years.
That was during that time?
Well, I had what they call broken service.
Mm-hmm.
I messed up. I got married,
Uh-huh.
and the wife wanted me to get out because she was going to have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, that makes sense. Now, I'm already an E6 petty officer at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to be an E7.
Uh-huh.
So made sense for me to get out because I was gone for like 6 months at a time, and she said, the baby won't even know you when you get home and stuff like that. So I got out. Well, about 7 years later,
7 years?
got divorced. So
Oh, yeah.
it ended up that the Navy would take me back because I had been employed in that shipyard doing the same type of work.
Mm-hmm.
So I got part of my rank back, but not the whole.
And when was that?
61, I think it was 61.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I got out.
So you went back in, what, 68 then?
Something
Maybe?
like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. How things had changed? Did things change in that time?
Oh, yeah. The first ship I went on didn't have any air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
And you laid in them hot bunks and sweated.
Uh-huh.
And today's Navy, they got air conditioning in every little bunk, and they all got their own little air out coming out, you know. So
But you did have bunks. You didn't have hammocks during your time.
We
You had
did
some-
have bunks.
Have hammocks? Bunks, yeah.
Yeah, the hammocks would have maybe have been better sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I have taken my bunk and sort of angled it up and have a bulkhead here and the bunk here, so I would have a wedge, so I could lay down in that wedge to keep from sliding back and forth so you could get some sleep.
And with the bunks, you didn't take them out and hang them over the rail the way they did in the early Navy.
No,
Because you probably didn't experience that.
not that, no.
Neither did I in the Marines. But what, let's see, what did you do then after you got out?
I worked in the shipyard, Naval Shipyard.
Oh, in the shipyard at that time.
Working on board ships, doing the same thing. In fact, I installed the Mark 19 gyro on USS Midway and the Coral Sea, both of them.
Carriers?
Carriers.
Uh-huh.
And they were the World War II class carriers. It was,
And
there was only 3 of them, the Roosevelt, Coral Sea, and Midway.
Yeah. So how do you get used to that, going from one ship to the other and
It's just
the different size?
Meeting a new crew.
Uh-huh.
I'd go in there, and I've always looked at it, well, you know, you got your way of doing things, and I got my way of doing things.
Uh-huh.
And if there's 20 of you, it's easier for me to learn your way of doing things than it is for 20 of you to get my way of doing things.
Uh-huh. So the Navy way also in there?
Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah.
all Navy way. It's
Yeah.
just, what I'm trying to say is that I don't know how
Well,
to
let's say that in your experience in Korea and Vietnam, did you see or experience any combat time?
Only Quemoy and Matsu, we had a little problem there on Taiwan, I think it was, in 54 or 5, something like that. And it wasn't really combat, but we was at GQ. I don't think
General quarters?
Yeah. I don't think any shells were fired or anything, but
But that was when I believe that Kennedy and Nixon it was an issue with Kennedy and Nixon were running for president, as I recall, about Quemoy and Matsu.
I'm not really sure. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, though, it was back in the 54 or 5 area.
And these were the islands where the really kind of an argument between the mainland Chinese.
The main Chinese wanted to claim these Matsu and Quemoy.
The
wasn't
two
it?
islands,
Yeah.
right? They were,
Yeah.
and they never got them, right?
They never got them. Taiwanese fought them for them.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So what were you doing during that time?
I was same old boy on board ship.
And keeping them running, huh?
Yeah, so you got to stand generator watches and all that stuff too.
And what's a generator watch?
The ship has to have electricity, okay? So it takes water, boils it in a boiler, makes steam. They take the steam and supply it to a generator, which makes it turn. And when that turns, it puts out electricity. And all this happens down in the engine room. And then you take the steam also goes to the main propulsion, and it drives the ship. You know, big turbine. And
that's pretty much
the whole engine right there.
the basic didn't change between the ships. Maybe just the size of it.
Well, the sizes, and some was, here I go into this. Some of it's AC and some of it's DC. And
Is
some
that
of
so?
Yeah, some of it's both. So you got to be on your toes, because
Yeah.
you could.
I remember there was an argument with Edison. Edison wanted DC, and who was it? Another one of the Tesla maybe wanted AC, and AC finally won. But you had both on the ships?
On some of them. On the early ships was mainly DC.
And why that?
I have no idea. I guess it was easier to work with, or the first one that they could really understand, or what.
Yeah,
you know.
of course we forgot to mention that AC is alternating current and DC
Right.
direct current. Yeah, we didn't say. We
Yeah.
forgot to mention that. When you went between ships, did they change you over in a sling, or did you just get on and off at the dock side?
On dock, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I have gone from one ship to another ship on a helicopter and land, get out of the helicopter, got picked up on a sling.
On a sling.
Yeah, because it was too rough rolling ship, so they took a helicopter and lowered the sling down, and it was like a horse collar you put under your arms.
Yeah.
Hold on to the thing, and it'd hoist you up to the thing.
Think you could still do that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I see them do it on the TV at nighttime on Alaska, what do they call it?
Yeah.
Lifeguard in Alaska.
Or
You
the
guys know that?
Coast Guard, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, Coast Guard in Alaska.
Do a lot of that.
They go out and do that.
I had relatives in the Coast Guard too.
Yeah.
So you how many kids, by the way, did you end up having?
I've got 3 kids.
They all go Navy?
No.
You wish they would?
I'd rather not even talk about that.
Okay.
That subject.
That's another story, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things I like to do when I do these interviews is to say, okay, what's a question I wish I had asked you so you could answer it? Something special that you'd like to say. Not even special necessarily, but comes out of you.
Well,
What do you want to talk about?
I told you didn't even want to come here.
Yeah. Well, why did you finally?
Because she
Yeah.
kept on me and kept on me and
Yeah.
kept on me.
And why didn't you want to come?
Like right here, I'm sitting here. Now
Yeah.
I'm on the spot. If I had done it myself, I wouldn't put myself on the spot, see?
Mm-hmm.
So,
And might ask, like why, some guys are ready to talk a lot, and other guys don't want to come at all.
yeah, we've got them where I'm at over there.
Yeah.
I live in a senior citizens place now.
Uh-huh.
And we got several veterans over there.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear them talking about World War II all the time, And I don't care to talk about that stuff.
We should get some of them over here, I guess.
Yeah.
But you've got quite a story to tell, that.
Well, I've got a couple stories. This one ship I went on, it was interesting, I think, that the Shangri-La, which is an aircraft carrier, and they was going to transfer it to the East Coast. So naturally, who's going to get sent? Me. So they put me on the Shangri-La. They loaded the gold, all hands working party.
That's all.
From the San Francisco Mint was closing down. They loaded gold for a day and a half and put it in the special weapons spaces for protection, and had Marines up here and over here, all advantage spaces with machine guns and everything, so nobody could get near it.
Yeah.
And then we did that for a day and a half, loading all this gold. I don't know how many millions, bullion. And
We take it through the canal?
no,
No?
we took it around the Horn
Is that so?
and stopped in every major city and took people aboard to look at the ship, a tour of the ship.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, Santiago, Chile, Lima, Peru, you name it.
Yeah.
We went all the way around the Horn and went up the East Coast to New York City and then offloaded it. And we were told not to tell our wives. I think I must have been the only one that didn't tell his wife, because I caught hell for it.
Well, so the Shangri-La we had was a carrier,
Yeah.
right? And they carried all this. So you've had quite a variety of experience, even though you're kind of modest about it.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Navy then? Well, what do you think about having had a career in the Navy?
I happen to have loved it. I'm sorry that I got out when I first got married. Shouldn't have never listened to her. Like I said, I was already in E6. I only had to go E7. I already had a year and a half as E6, so another year and a half, and I could have taken the test for E7. And with my experience and everything, and I had college behind me. They say that B school is equivalent to 3 years of college, and I'd already gone to B school.
B school?
B school, they call it.
B?
B.
Like A, B, and
You're right.
such? Yeah.
A school is where they taught you the fundamentals of electricity. That's right out of boot camp. And then B school was, we got into like college stuff to where they hit it quick and, didn't spend a whole lot of time on it. Like college might spend 3 months on one thing, like a certain type of motor. Well, we would hit it for a day and a half and go on to the next. See? So I loved it. It gave me a trade, yeah.
Yeah. That's and then, gosh, you've already said, it was apparently good for you, good experience.
Yeah.
What would you have done if you didn't do that?
I wondered about that.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
I wondered about that.
Wonder sometime the guy almost from the hills of Kentucky. Well, Lexington's not exactly hills, but nice country. And Ludlow, when you came up this way, and working over here.
There ain't many people from this area that's been
Yeah.
where I've been. Let's put it that way.
Uh-huh. So you feel that kind of lucky about having been able to do all that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
That part of my life I'm happy with.
Mm-hmm. That part. Well, we live a long life. How old are you?
Right now I'm 76.
Uh-huh.
So I got a birthday coming up here in a month or so.
Yeah. Well, we'll say happy birthday for that.
All right.
So what did you say? You talked about what you did after you left the service?
I
Left active duty?
Yeah, I left active duty while I went to work in the civilian place at factory, you know.
And that was where?
It was out in Florence, so 3 years I was out there, and some shouldn't have got me on this.
Uh-oh.
Some big shot in Poughkeepsie, New Jersey,
Uh-huh.
could make more money if he didn't get the tax exemption from Boone County. So he closed down the factory, put 300 of us out of work, and sent all the equipment to St. Louis, Missouri, and a couple other places.
And you weren't able to go with it to St. Louis?
No,
Yeah.
just got all we got out of you, buddy. You were out on the street.
And what'd you do then?
Went down to unemployment office.
Oh.
Nah, we found another job. And I was helping a guy, and this other guy quit, and he said, "Hey, Red, why don't you apply for that job?" I went and asked the plant manager. I said, "You got an application for that job?" He said, "Yeah." Told me to come to work the next day. So I've been there 13 years, and they were tired, closed that place down. And that was the end of mine.
Yeah. Well, you've got a lot to look back on, huh? What are your kids doing, by the way?
I don't know why you keep going back to that.
Why do you think I go back to it?
First of all, I don't even claim my own kids.
Uh-huh.
And second of all, I remarried. I got 3 good kids that's all got good jobs, all got educated. I helped with that. I'm proud of the fact that they turned out real well. And I don't know about them ones out in California.
Well, we know about things like that happen, but you think you talked about how your Navy service was good, something to look back on.
Yeah.
And any regrets?
Yeah, you always got regrets, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't want a divorce the first time,
Uh-huh.
but I got one. So you live with it and learn from it and move on, I guess.
Yeah. Any regrets about the Navy? Sound like that was pretty good.
The only regret I got is I listened to her. I got out. I lost all that time that I had as first-class petty officer, and it took me a lot longer to make chief. And if I'd stayed in, I could have made chief, and I could have been an E8, an E9, and you know, maybe even went up warrant officer. I don't know.
And I was only an E3. back in those days as it was.
Yeah.
So that's quite a. In any case, it's quite a story. You want to add anything to that? You got that question that you'd like me to, that you wish I had asked so you could answer it?
Not really.
No?
I wish you hadn't asked that part about my first wife.
Well, yeah.
You didn't know.
Yeah. Well, I think you've done, sounds like you've done pretty well. So I think we're gonna, that's quite a grip you got there too.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.